Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy. Well, these little guys right here. These are the Pro-Tech Knife Malibu. Or Pro-Tech knives, I guess. Plural. They make many. But first off, in the name of full disclosure, I want to thank Pro-Tech for specifically sending along this little guy down here to me for review. As always, I told them I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. It might be a gem, might be junk, but they still sent this guy along as a review sample. This one I ended up buying from them. But nonetheless, we do have to assume these are the very best quality controlled knives here ever, and I'm doing my best not to let that affect the nature or quality of my review. But anyways, thank you for that very much, Pro-Tech. Next thing, let's do a size comparison. We'll use the plain Jane model for this. Here it is against the Spyderco PM2 and Spyderco Delica, so we can see it's a reasonably moderately sized knife, although in terms of sharpened blade length, it is pretty impressive. We're looking here around 3.25 inches. That's not pretty impressive by most people's standards, but sharpened length actually is longer than the PM2 because it's not having a finger choil. But nonetheless, so we can see here, there's that, and then finally, oh, not quite finally, here it is against the Ontario Rat number 2, and then we'll put it up against another Pro-Tech, and actually, one of my very favorite knives from Pro-Tech. This is the Pro-Tech Knives Sprint, which is an automatic knife, which is much smaller, but also very pretty. So anyways, there you go. That's your size comparison. Next thing, you'll see here on the table that there are two versions of this guy. This one up here is the Wharncliffe blade style, although it's not a conventional Wharncliffe, like, for instance, this guy, the QSP Penguin, with the flat edge on the bottom. This is what they call the Wharncliffe blade style. Works great, 20 CV, etc., with the chalky black aluminum handle. It's a great knife. Then below it here is a slightly gussied up version, a substantially gussied up version, with milled titanium handles with a mother of pearl button inlay there, as well as some stainless Damascus. The price on this guy is $190. The price on this guy is about $630, so there is a major difference there, but there is a number of major differences there, and we'll kind of talk about both of these versions, jumping back and forth and highlighting the joys of each one. But anyways, there are those two different versions. Then finally, one quick note. Pro-Tech Knives is known primarily, actually, for making automatic knives. Like, for instance, the Sprint here, where if I press this button, the blade deploys, and it snaps on out of there pretty authoritatively. That's kind of what they enjoy doing. These are not automatic knives. If I press this button down, nothing at all happens. Instead, these are flipper knives. They're manual knives. And in fact, there is no spring involved. If I press this button to close it, the knife just falls shut because there are no springs involved here. This is a fully manual knife. Not assisted, not anything. It is just a manual flipper knife. And so that's going to make it legal in a lot more places than Pro-Techs are generally legal. And so that's a beautiful thing. It's not their first manual knife, but it's definitely the exception in their lineup. And I kind of hope that they become a little bit more common. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. These very nice little knives right here. The good side to start with, the price on the basic one is actually quite good. This is a knife that is made in the USA. In fact, they're made just up the way in Orange County, here in California, and for $190 for 20 CV blade steel, for a really great action, for good construction, nice grind, etc., I have absolutely no problem with that. And given that it's made locally, and I've watched them make them, well, not this particular knife, they weren't making those at that time, but I did a factory tour. I saw them doing every damn step of it. That's actually a pretty competitive price. So I appreciate very much the price on the base model. That's a very nice piece. Of course, the titanium is a lot more, but it's also a lot fancier, so there you go. Next thing, this is a completely manual knife. Like I said, that's a beautiful thing, legally speaking. There were a lot of complaints and constraints for automatic knives. For instance, in California, it can't be longer than 2 inches, hence the mini knife right here. But at the same time, it's very nice to see more manuals out of Pro-Tech, because that opens their brand up to a lot more folks here in the U.S., especially folks living with very restrictive knife laws. So there you go. Next thing, these have very nice clips. Pro-Tech has always been a company that's been great at clips, and I'll show you exactly why. See right here, this is a knife that has a clip on here, and it's a deep carry clip, but more importantly, the clip sits into a recess in the frame, and the screws are completely flush. If we compare that to, oh, I just had something on my table that got this wrong. Well, okay, here's an example. This is the Ontario Knives Shikra. You can see here that those screws are sticking up into the path. These are completely frictionless. It's a very nice clip with great tension and everything like that. Next thing, this is a pretty ambidextrous knife. Although the clip is just one-sided, which is going to bother about 10% of my viewership, it is otherwise very ambi, because you can use the button lock with your index finger just as well as you can use it with your thumb. And so as a result, this is a pretty lefty-friendly knife if you're willing to carry righty. which is great. Next thing, the blade on this is good. The base model here is in 20 CV. And one thing that's worth noting here is that the labeling is on the spine, which is very nice. Pro-Tech has historically done a lot of white text billboarding on their stuff. This is way classier and way nicer for that matter. So I'm a big fan of that. But the blade here being 20 CV and having a relatively thin grind, this is one of the things that Pro-Tech has always been a little bit weakest at, honestly, is they've had very thick grinds historically on their pocket knives. The edge it's reasonably thick behind the edge. This is a major improvement. It's clear that they've been working on that, and I love to see it. Oh my God, yes. Love to see it, because this just makes the knife cut a lot better than some of their previous pieces have. And then if you go to the reverse Tanto, you get another blade shape, which in many ways I think I like even more, because you get a little bit, the tip is just about as acute, and the grind is still just as thin, but you get a little bit more flatness on the... Well, maybe it's about the same there. Either way, I happen to like the reverse Tanto there. It's a great blade shape. But either way, and then coupled with the Nichols Damascus on this guy here, that beautiful boomerangitude, yeah, oh yeah. And you can see even the Damascus pattern on the back side of it here. Hopefully you can see it. It's very subtle, but it's definitely there. It's a beautiful thing. I love the blades on these guys. And it's nice, actually, by the way, that you get a choice here. You get to do your reverse Tanto or your Warney. Like I said, if you can get the reverse Tanto, I probably would do that. That's kind of more of an aesthetic choice for me. But that's a beautiful thing. Next thing, ergonomically speaking, it's good to go. There's maybe a little tiny bit of hot spotting up at the back of the clip here, but honestly, it feels great in the hand. It carries very well. It's a very nice knife in that way. And ergonomically, it's just good to go. Next thing, I gotta say, the titanium version is nice. I first saw it, was like, oh wow, that's fancy. And then I talked to the Pro-Tech folks. They were like, yeah, you want one? Like, yeah, I do. I was weak. They sent it to me as a loan, and I broke within 2 hours and just bought the damn thing. Because, yeah, the fancy milling is very nice, and it really does add something, and it adds a little bit of the complication above and beyond the black aluminum. It's got some, actually, it's hard to see this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this off on camera, but if you look at the inside of this guy, yeah, you can see it in there. They have actually jeweled the inside of this handle, which is not something I noticed at all until I took the thing apart, but, ooh, that's kind of a nice little detail. The little inlay on the button here, I mean, they've got some great details here. And then, like I said, the logo on the spine is great. And this is maybe the best possible way to do a logo on a Damascus blade, because you're not covering up any of the inherent beauty. The knife itself remains sterile, but you still have that logo on there, which is absolutely excellent. So I'm sorry, so I am a big fan. And by the way, look at their steel label. Yeah, that's a nice place to put it. So I'm a big fan of that, and the details are great, especially on this high-end piece. So to me, at least, that's what's good here, is that the details are great. There's fancy milling on the titanium version, which looks good. Good ergos, good blade shapes, a nice blade, generally speaking, ambidextrous lock style, great clip, completely manual, made in the USA, and $190, made in the USA price. Oh, that's pretty damn good. On the great side, the action. The action is good. Manual button locks are a joy. Honestly, it's a lock whose time, I think, is very rapidly approaching. We've been in the land of flipper frame locks for so many years now. I mean, this is a flipper frame lock. Some might argue it's a little bit of a bolster lock. There's the Brian the Doe Shot by Design Void, also a knife I love. But I gotta say, there's a joy here in there, because with a button lock, when you depress the button, there is literally no resistance there anymore. The blade just falls. And it's great, but at the same time, and so it makes it super easy to operate one-handedly, but it's got a great detent as well. This has an absolutely beautiful detent, both of them. No problems whatsoever deploying them in any sense. Oh, yes. Just beautiful fall shut action. It's just so addictive. That's a stupid thing to say, but I'm stupid. Because you flip it, and then you just keep doing that over and over again until your wife asks you to leave. I mean, that's a thing, right? And so it's a beautiful action. I really appreciate the action on these guys. So to me, at least, that's what's great, is that this manual button lock action is dialed in. And I really hope this isn't the last manual button lock we see out of Pro-Tech. So that's what's great. On the bad side, a couple of things. Both of them actually came with a little bit of lock stick. There's still a little bit left on the big guy. Oh, actually, come to think of it, I don't know that I oiled. Did I just put a little gouge in this? Whoops, I'm a total idiot. Well, anyways, I digress. better this one, I guess. This one has a little bit of stick, at least the first time you operate it. Is that great? No, but it's not the end of the world. And so there's that. Next thing on this guy, there is a little tiny bit, where was I noticing it? If you look a little carefully, there's a little tiny bit of chatter or something like that in the machining of the grooves here. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely there, and so it's not a perfectly smooth sort of surface, but again, I am kind of being nitpicky there, but you can definitely see a little bit of that in there. That might even be, this was stonewashed at some point, or maybe just the other side of the groove. I think I remember something about different directions of milling from some machining shit. Anyways, there you go. The flipper tab is definitely pocket pecking a little bit, and it's not super rounded, so the edges of it are a little bit on the sharp side, so it's definitely pocket pecking a little bit. And then finally, one thing, the only design choice that I'm not 100% on board on with this guy is the blue. The blue combined with the gray of the blade feels a little bit like a weird contrast. I saw, actually, EDC Gearhouse, who is a vendor of Pro-Tech, actually, as well as Amada, had done his with a beautiful gray handle finish, and it was just like, oh, so this may end up making a journey to him. But either way, the blue is a little bit strange, if nothing else, because, like, this is a beautiful handle, this is a beautiful blade, but the two of them together are a little bit, like, mismatched. But anyways, I will say that it's looked better as the anodization has grown a little bit more dull from the oils in my hands, but to me, all of that is the bad, is that the blue looks a little weird with the gray. It is pocket packing a little bit with slightly sharp edges there. There's a little bit of chatter in the grooves on this guy, and it came with just a little tiny bit of lock stick. And of course, it's being operated with by an idiot, but that's hopefully not going to be the case for yours. On the ugly front, there's nothing ugly here, so let's go into final conclusion, and that conclusion for me is that this is an amazing, amazing knife. It is American-made, which is in and of itself a great thing. But it's got a very nice price, a very nice clip, a good blade with a choice of two blades, solid ergonomics, some choices in the trim level. You can get them at a variety of levels. Oh, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention is that this guy actually has a G10 backspacer in here, which appears to be some kind of a tan or an olive, which was a little surprising, but anyways, there you go. But it's got choices in trim levels, some very nice details, and very excellent action, reminding the world that although Pro-Tech is known for autos, it's not the only thing that they do well. There is a little bit of lock stick in there, there's a little chatter in the grooves, it's pocket pecking, and the blue-gray looks a little bit odd, but mostly this is an amazing knife, because it's a great flipper with an addictive action, an excellent blade, a price that's very reasonable, made in the States, and it's evidence that although, like I said, Pro-Tech should be on everybody's radar, even if automatics are off the table for you. In short, this knife is a gem, and it is yet another damn contender for Knife of the Year, which is going to be awful this year because there were a lot of really good choices. Oh my God. So I have been recommending this knife heavily, frequently. Ever since I got this guy, I've probably told 10 different people, yeah, you should get a Malibu here. It's probably my most recommended. Oh, maybe not my most recommended knife, but it's very close. The other competition being the Quiet Carry Waypoint at this point. But nonetheless, this has been a knife I've been saying to people over and over again, you should check one out. So, in summary, it's a gem, and well done, Pro-Tech. It is great to see them expanding their range. It's great to see them trying things that they haven't tried historically, or at least getting deeper into the waters, because they had the, I'm forgetting the name of their other one, the Cambria. It was a manual button lock flipper. But it's great to see them doing that. And, well, I'm sure they're going to keep doing the auto thing, and I hope they do, because they are very good at it. I really hope that this is the beginning of a much broader line of manual knives, because I think that would do a really great job of protecting your bottom line, even with stupid laws in play. No? Okay, that was excellent. So anyways, there you go. I hope this was interesting, that you're not Malibooing that joke too bad, and most of all, that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.